B. So you know my new obsession is Disney Plus.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, since you got your own?
Yeah, since I got my own, since I stopped trying to steal Disney Plus.
That 7-day trial up?
7-day trial's up Sunday.
Okay.
It still doesn't come out of my account though, and I don't know if it's gonna be $8.99 or GST.
$8.99.
Is it $8.99? It came out of your account. Okay. Well, in preparation for today's episode, I watched a couple of Marvel movies. One of them being Endgame, and I cried like a little bitch baby.
Did you?
It was so emotional.
I did too. I didn't want to say it at first, but I did too.
Yeah,
like I cried. Like it was a scene.
Yeah. R.I.P. Tony Stark.
I can't believe the franchise is over.
But is it?
Is it? What?
I see someone beside us shaking our head. Let's get the episode started.
Oh my gosh.
I got that dish. Got that. I got that dish. Dish. I got that dish. I got that dish. That dish.
Hey y'all, it's Onika.
And it's your girl B.
And you are dishing with Dainty Dish. How you doing today, B?
I'm alright, I'm hanging in there.
That's good.
How about you?
I'm doing all right. Not as Toronto Road salty as I was last month,
Listen, and I'm telling you, the roads probably need it right now. Let's be real.
Probably. It's probably crazy out there.
So I'm happy you're not, I'm happy that, you're not.
Toronto Road salty. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Christmas is coming. My birthday is coming.
Oh my gosh.
I'm turning 37. Mom, I already know what I want for my birthday and for Christmas. You can't double gift. No one asked you to have me 5 days after Christmas. That was on you.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Dad.
Why you? Why you?
Like I have to, but we have a guest on the show today. It's all kinds of crazy Wednesday. You guys have been introduced to this gentleman before. He was on the show last month talking about toxic masculinity, but today he's going to talk about himself. And we're going to get into some conversations about Marvel and the Avengers. And
can they guess who it is?
If you can
fans
guess,
and
send an email right now. Send an email
before we even introduce him. If you guys really listen to us, you'll know who we're talking about. But go ahead.
I'll announce him. So it is Eb on the mic once again.
Yay!
What's going on?
How you doing today, Eb?
I'm feeling good.
Feeling great?
Feeling gravy.
Feeling good. Feeling great. How are you?
It's not like a song.
It is. It is. Ghetto music.
She's bringing
big
the
boy.
music on. That's the trap music that she's bringing to the show. Yeah. So I wanted to have you on the show again because you were such a great guest last time.
Awesome.
You were amazing.
The banter
about
was
real.
real.
It was real. It was super
Go back
real.
and listen to that episode if you didn't, guys.
That's episode 102.
102.
I believe 102.
102.
Yeah. So if you guys want to listen to Ab talk about, how he's the exact opposite of toxically masculine, if that's even a term. Toxically masculine.
I think it's fair.
Toxically masculine. Yeah. How he's completely the opposite of that, then definitely listen to that episode. But this episode today is about his journey, his mental health journey. So we're going to get into a little bit about that. Are you cool with that, Eb?
Let's get the 411.
You excited? You getting the 411, B?
Let's get the 411.
All right. So, Eb, we're going to start with the Wonder Years. This is what I call them because if anyone knows, I used to just be obsessed with Fred Savage, and I loved the show The Wonder Years when I was a kid. With Winnie, she had long brown hair, and Fred could never get her. I don't know why.
I'm going to really have to watch this.
You have to watch The Wonder Years.
Reference, and
It shows my age, right, Eb? Have you ever heard of The Wonder Years?
I haven't heard of The Wonder Years.
Oh, my gosh.
Other than, the episodes I've watched of your podcast.
Where I reference The Wonder Years. Yes. Everyone needs to watch at least one episode of Fred Savage, the nerdy guy with the glasses, and Winnie, the love of his life. So
I'm definitely putting it on
it's just a reference to the days of yore if you will.
Wow, the days of yore.
The days of yorn, the younger years. You know, what were those years like growing up?
Ooh. I would have to say, like, when I look back on how I was as a kid, I definitely have to give credit to my parents for dealing with my weird self.
Why would you say you're
Yeah, because like in the sense of like, as I've gotten older, I've come to understand I'm a very eccentric person. But there's no, like, first of all, just being your parents, all right? So there's no guide on how to be a parent. You just kind of figure out as you go. So imagine like your kid is just completely left field. Not only like is it hard to rate a top, but there's this child who's just like, he's just completely left field. Like he's just like,
sounds like my 8-month-old. So yeah,
I want to stay inside and play video games or play with my toys, or like even like I didn't like playing with other kids. Like I preferred being by myself, and that was something my parents had a hard time getting used to. Just like, but you don't like other kids, and I'm like, fam, I'm trying to play with my toys still.
Like other kids are waste. Like,
and I mean, like even you know, because you've had my sister as a guest, right? So like she has 2 kids. The older one's very extroverted. He likes attention. He likes being the center of attention. But the younger one, he's very similar to me. And it's because of that, like the older one, because we're opposites, I can connect with him for easy. I know he likes. But the older one is just like, I can't figure you out because I can't really think like,
grasp.
What? And also just like, I can't really like, what's what I'm looking for? I can't self-reflect on what I was when I was. So I'm like, what did I want out of life when I was 2 years
it's hard.
old?
It's hard after you hit that 16, 17 year mark. It's hard to reflect back as a child.
Well, like as a kid, I
like
I
a
can,
little.
but like 2, I'm like, I don't know what to play with my toys. So like with him, he'll just like I'll bring him over when me and the older one are playing, and then he'll just leave and just go in the corner over there.
Go
and he'll
about his
take like
business?
3 toys, and he's playing by himself. And I'm like, are you good? I don't know. So like these are sort of things like how I was as a kid. So I could definitely see my parents struggle with that. Like you know, as we had that episode on toxic masculinity, you know, even in terms of like I didn't like playing with cars. Give me a Ninja Turtle. I don't really care about cars. I don't really care about, even until this day, I know how to like maintain a car. I know how to fix certain things in the car. My dad taught me, and I know that's important. But like, I don't know how. I don't go to car shows. I don't care about cars like that.
Yeah. Not the stereotype of what people think.
I'm not a sports person. I understand, except for baseball. I do understand sports, but I don't actively watch sports. So when it comes to like my parents trying to get me to do what normal things kids do, or what normal thing, quote unquote normal things boys do at X or Y age, it was like, nah, fam, like give me my Yu-Gi-Oh cards still. So those are sort of things that like my especially my dad had a hard time dealing with, and like at first I used to like, I don't know, fault him for it, but at the same time I'm just like, really and truly, if I was a Nigerian man who grew up in Nigeria, who was born in Nigeria in 1951, and then I came here and my son wants to play with cardboards, essentially with anime pictures on it, why?
Yeah.
So I can't really fault him for that. And even in terms of my mom, like I can't really fault him for that, for understanding that about me. But at the same time, it did cause a lot of like, I guess you could say, doubt within myself. Because, you know, when I was growing up, because I was a nerd, and, you know, this is before the age now where, you know, it's cool to like anime and stuff. So I was not, as you might imagine, I wasn't getting girls. I was not getting girls. I was not.
Listen, this generation is just jumping on everything. So that's.
Power to the kids. Like the kids are like, I think it's amazing the fact that, like, you know, as I said, I work with you. So, you know, they'll be like, yo, like Captain America's the ish. I remember one time, I'm talking about kids who are, you know, like at risk youth, right? I remember one time I made an offhanded statement about Naruto. The way the kids pulled up on me, it's as if I insulted their mom. Like, yo, what are you saying about Naruto, fam? Like, what are you saying? Like, I was like, this is a thing? Like, you guys, like, they actually were like, I was like, no, Naruto's good. Chill. So that was not the case when I was a kid. It's like, oh, you watch Naruto, you're a weirdo. So I wasn't getting girls. And so on a more serious note, like in many cases, like both my mom and my sister always made me feel like I'm not going to get an attractive black girl because I'm not athletic and I'm a nerd. So
this is toxic masculinity. Goes back to the episode last month, guys. You gotta keep up.
So like that created sort of inferiority complex with me, like which I wasn't aware of until I got older. Where my first girlfriend, because like every girlfriend I've had, for the most part, or even just the girls I draw in, are extremely attractive. And when I first started getting them, I didn't understand why. I'm just like, you have like a bunch of jocks over there trying to get with you, and I'm over here playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards and you're talking
Not
with me.
the most intelligent.
What are you doing right now? So that's something I didn't understand until I got into like my 20s. I'm like, oh, you're into me.
It's a real thing.
But prior to that, I didn't really understand that. And so when my first girlfriend broke up with me, I went through a very extended period where I was trying to make up my self-perceived lack of masculinity, because that was the one time like my sister and my mom like really considered me as a man. And even like I threw up a lot of people, because like my girlfriend, like even in university, people were like, oh my gosh, you got with her, like she's your girl, like that's how you're moving. So I
sounds very Toronto. That's how you're
moving.
making
it. Well, I'm from Montreal, but that's how I'm making everyone sound. Is everyone like, oh, that's how you're moving? And I'm like, I guess. It's like, so like I kept trying to find another attractive girl to be my girl so I could feel like a man again. That was the thing. That was the thing. I was constantly going from. I never really dated them. Only one of them I had sex with, and even when I got that point, when I did that,
but you felt like you had to one up yourself.
Exactly. Like I had to like get that in order to be a man again.
Wow, I never.
So because I got that, because I did it without I got the girl without the sport. So now I have to do it again, and I'm lacking. And then unless I'm doing that, not really, man. Even in terms of my ex, like I said, because she's very, very, very attractive, right? When she started dating someone else, she still was in many ways coming after me still, because she didn't know what she wanted. And so because of that, both even some of my friends, and especially family and extended family, they thought I was chasing her. Whenever we're talking about, I'm like, I'm not reaching out to her.
I'm just being friendly.
I'm playing Street Fighter. I'm in my room playing Street Fighter. She's calling me, but no one believed that because I'm a nerd and I'm single and she's very attractive as a boyfriend. So obviously I have to be the one hitting her up. But she's the one who was like calling me, 45 times and this and that, and no one would believe me until technology got to the point where you could take screenshots.
So everyone got caught.
Everyone's
busted.
Like, oh, she's calling. I'm like, bro, I've been saying that for 5 years. No one believes me. So these are the sort of things that like I definitely experienced. And so it got to the point, with like my dad's health, even though like no one's truly bad. So even in terms of like my abusive ex, like she had a very strong point that she said, although she obviously later regretted because it was the reason I broke up with her, is in the sense she said, you have to define yourself as a man outside of me and your ex. And I was just like, shoot.
Something you didn't know as a youth.
Exactly. So like that's when I had to end things with her, because I was always trying to make things happen with the girl and always feeling like I was in
and how old were you then? How old were you with this girl? Is this a teen?
Are you talking about
situation?
The first girlfriend, or are you talking about the abusive one?
The abusive one and the first girlfriend.
The first one was when I was in university, so we did it from when I was 21 to 25. And then the abusive one was like a 6-month period when I was from like, I think, the end of my 26th year on this earth and into 27.
And with the abusive girlfriend, how's that situation affecting your mental health? Like, what's going on with your mental health during this time?
So at that point, that's all. I had to unpackage that a little bit. So
Sorry.
First, no, it's okay. So the first part, like I said, I was trying to always like one up myself in terms of my masculinity, and then with her, I was abusive, and then from that, like I had a very extensive period of poor relationships with men, and a lot of people don't really like to take accountability of themselves. They say, all women are this or all men are that, but it's just like the first one, shame on them. The second one, shame on you. And then because at that point, it's no longer really just all these people are bad. You're the common factor now, because they're all different people with bad habits. You're the one bringing them in.
Yeah.
So what are you doing that's bringing in this energy? And so for me, I had to reflect on the fact that like I had a very poor relationship with my mom, and your mother is your first wife. So if you have a poor relationship with your mom,
I never thought of it that way, but
your
that's
father
really
is your
deep.
first husband, your mother is your first wife.
Wow.
Whoever you experience, because that's your first interaction with the opposite sex. So how you're treated by them, that is going to influence who you're going to be with.
Okay.
But you just have to be really.
I've
aware
always
of that,
heard that, but
you know?
just to say it in a different dialect, that
Yeah.
like your mom or your dad is your first husband or wife is
like every girl I've been attracted to is very artistic. My mom is very artistic, very
qualities.
nurturing, like my mom, very loving, like my mom. They love holidays and all that jazz, like my mom, and they're very bubbly, like my mom. So these are all the things that like
attributes that you grew up with, yeah.
But then also because you know, like you probably can imagine there's a big age gap between my sister and I. So obviously, like my sister did some raising of me, which was kind of impacted the way we kind of connect up until her having
we're
kids.
10 years apart. So
Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can imagine. So it's kind of hard to make a certain connection sometimes because of age gap, but also like so there's certain traits I do find what's I'm looking for desirable in my partner that like, or like there's certain traits that my sister has that I would find desirable in a partner. Not all of my sisters, because like, oh man, we butt heads a lot. But there's certain traits like how Angie is very ambitious. She's very driven. That's something I always want in my partner. The partner I have right now, she's very ambitious. She has a lot of drive, but she's also nurturing and et cetera, like my mom. So I've always wanted like that.
You
and
pick
I feel like
the attributes from the females around you
bingo,
that you
exactly. And I feel like they're like sort of like spectrums. There's actually the hardline woman who's like, I'm gonna make more than you and blah blah blah, like my sister. And then there's like the really nurturing, you know, housewife like woman like my mom. So I always like kind of bounce between the two. So like really ideal for me, someone who's like right there in the middle.
because you've been exposed to both aspects. So,
Bingo.
which a lot of guys probably aren't. So that you're very lucky in that.
Thank you. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
And so where was I? So I had to work on my relationship with my mom, and at that point, this is when we moved here to Toronto. Like my mom, she kept coming into my room, and it's something I look back on. I'm just like, wow, I just didn't understand. She would always come into my room, and then she would just like vent, and I just found that like
Annoying?
annoying and very draining. So I wasn't receptive to it. So like there'd be times where, you know, I'm watching something on YouTube, or I'm watching something, or I'm playing games. I'll just
You're distracted.
No, I'll just slowly crank up the volume to the point where I just can't hear you anymore. So you leave.
I feel like I've done that with Mom. Sorry, Mom.
Right, and you don't realize it, right? But like my best friend, who's a girl, and this is why I feel like it's very, going back on the whole toxic masculinity thing, I feel like it's important for opposite sexes to be friends, because you'll never get a perspective on certain things.
I concur.
Like a lot of there's a lot of stupid things that like a lot of girls, a lot of people like say I'm a great boyfriend. I'm like, I'll take it, but I'm a guy today. There's a lot of stupid things I do where like my best friend's like, I don't think you should move that way, because
fix
like
up.
yeah, and
Fix
I'm just
up.
like, because I don't, just like, you know, like the whole like male privilege. Like I don't know what it's like to be the opposite. I'll never know. I can only imagine. So it's just like, hey, you sent this text. It's funny when, you know, you were single, but now if she were, even though we don't obviously look at each other's phone, if she were to see this, how does that look? And I'm just like, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Listen, that
these are sort of things.
perspective is always clutch. It's always
You know?
clutch.
But yeah, so I had to really like work on my relationship with my mom, and she's the one who made me realize like she's trying to connect with you. It's just that she doesn't know how. And even in terms of how poor our relationship was, to give you context, I met Stan Lee, the guy who made Spider-Man, the guy who cameos in all the Marvel movies. I met Stan Lee.
That's when I
That's
really
how-
cried. When I found out that he passed this
away.
year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he makes a cameo in every Marvel movie.
We'll look at it another time.
Yeah, we'll have to. I
You have
missed
to.
it.
You
have
have
to.
We'll look at it after. But like, yeah, so I met him. So that gives you, just to give you context of how deep I am in terms of the comic book, anime nerd world. My mom, and I met him when I was like 24. I've been going to like comic book conventions since I was like 18. My mom only found out I read comic books 4 years ago.
Wow.
And
Even
could
though I
you
have a
just
shelf.
confirm how old?
30.
So she found out you read comic books after so many years until you were only 26. Like you were
Yes.
26 when she found out.
Yes. She was like, when we moved, the box was in my room for like good 4 months after we moved, 4, maybe even 8 months. She's like, what is that? And I'm like, comics. And she's like, you read comics?
Oh my gosh.
And at that point, I was like, yeah, like I was, taken aback.
Yeah, like
And then
thrown off.
obviously, yeah, and then obviously because of her, she's born in 1952 in Trinidad, so she was not exactly pleased to see her son living with her reads comic books. So that was a whole nother, that's a whole.
Oh, she was big bad. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
she
wow.
was big disappointed. So
it's reading. Remember what I said? It's reading is reading.
I
Doesn't
do
matter
agree
what
with you,
you
but
read.
not a lot of people think that way.
No.
And so that's something that that's just to give us aspect. That's just to put context in terms of our relationship. Like she didn't know I read comic books for like 8 years, even though there'd be times I would come back from Comic-Con and I would have a ton of comics and I would throw it on my parents' bed and show my dad. And we talk about my mom would be in the environment. She did not know. She'd come into my room and I would have shelves of comic books. She did not know all this time I read comic books. So for me, I thought that was a bit scary because it's like, let's say something happened at a comic book convention. You wouldn't know I was
You
there.
wouldn't know where I was.
Yeah, like you want to know where your kids are, right? That's at least.
I can imagine. I was gonna say I can imagine like as a kid like that must have taken like a really big toll
Yes.
on you mentally though. Like
Yeah. It
just
hit me.
feeling like nobody cared. Like you
My
would have
dad,
realized.
Yeah, like
when
my
you're
dad.
older.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know she didn't know. So that's to put into context in terms of how our relationship was. So I had to start. So my best friend is the one who helped me figure out ways to connect with my mom, where we would have nights where we would watch movies. So it was an environment where like she wouldn't exhaust me because I'm sensitive, so I take in a lot of energy unconsciously. Like my sister's less sensitive than me, so she can like take in more. I burn out fast, especially with like negative energy. My mom's who she is, so
She is who she is.
Teach his own. Yeah.
right. So I can only take in, and so I typically would just go and let her vent, and I'd be exhausted, and I won't talk to her for like another 3 weeks because like well, just to be in that space. Like I'm not saying like we won't interact like, hey, how are you doing? But like I don't want to sit down next to you because like I'm gonna be tired after. I'm like I don't want to feel exhausted. I don't want to feel like talking to you is a chore.
Yeah.
Talking to
Okay.
you should not be a chore.
Okay.
So she found a way for us to just start watching movies together. And so we started watching movies together. And at this point, I waited my whole life for this. I waited my whole life for
I'm
this.
excited because
You know
I
what
waited my
happened?
whole
You know
life for a moment.
You know what
with
happened
Mom.
last year? Do you know what happened last year?
What?
Black Panther dropped.
Oh,
So all these years of my sister and my mom telling me, oh, these comic books are fictitious. They're not real. It's nonsense. It's not real.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, they're just like I didn't mention it to them, like whenever they saw the movie, like my sister's like, oh my gosh, like Black Panther was so like eye opening. Like you know what Black Panther is?
Marvel.
No, he's a comic book character. And then to rub it in further, I would be like, because she'll be like, oh, but it's different from all the other Marvel movies, right? I'm like, well, guess what? Next movie he's going to be in, it's not Black Panther 2, it's Avengers with Captain America and Iron Man, all the fictitious characters. So I rubbed it in both of them. Like when my mom, because like I wait till, because my mom's like she won't like when I say this when she listens to this one day, but like my mom's old. And so like there's no way she's going to comprehend Black Panther in theaters because I have to pause it. And I explain this to her. You know what I'm talking about. So
Yes, she'd fall
like,
asleep.
our mom is about to say, Mom
Yeah.
would fall
Falls
She
asleep.
won't fall asleep. She only falls asleep for the news exclusively. That's her thing. But like, she would have a hard time like just comprehending what's going on and like who Killmonger is. So wait till it came on Blu-ray, and so after we watched it, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Black Panther!" The short hair. I'm like, "Well, guess what? Okoye, you know the general for the Black Panther. Like, guess what she is? Fictitious, like Superman."
I don't know. She didn't take that well.
Yeah, no, she didn't take that well. I'm like, guess what movie she's gonna be in along with Black Panther? Avengers.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I rubbed it into both of them. Just all these years of me saying, "Oh yeah, this person's like, Iron Man's like Iron Man's not real. That doesn't make sense." I'm like, oh, well, really? Guess what? Black Panther is not real. So, how do you feel?
How do you feel?
Wakanda's not real.
Wakanda's
Yeah.
not real, but Wakanda is real. Like in my heart, it's real.
That's how I feel about
Like,
Captain America. So,
They're all real.
yeah, that's what. I loved it when this movie came out. Now they don't say anything to me. I'm just like, because if they say anything, I'm like, well, guess what? Black Panther's not real. How does your heart feel? It hurts, doesn't it?
It hurts.
Exactly.
hurts.
Don't say that again. So we ended up started watching movies together, and eventually, from Black Panther, we were able to go into watching. I think we we also even because like one of my favorite superheroes, I think favorite superheroes just to put them out there, Captain America, Iron Man, Superman. So
Okay.
we eventually watched Man of Steel. We started like just exploring, and like the thing with me, I really connect with these movies on a very, I guess you could say, intimate level. So us watching these movies allowed us to actually have dialogue and to connect more. Like even in terms of Killmonger, like not a lot of people know this, but like because I'm half West Indian, half African, I actually relate to Killmonger because he's half Wakandan, half American. So I know what it's like to be half-half. I know what it's like to not belong in
know your
both groups.
place.
And we actually ended up having a conversation about that where she realized, because she always thought I was like 90% like African in terms of nationalism, but I'm like, no, I'm half. Like I accept both, as much as like I do take pride in like my very African first name and last name. I want my kids to have African first names and last name. Most of my friends are West Indian, so how am I one side or the other? I'm not really close to that many African people, and like I never, like in terms of my girlfriend, I never ever thought I was gonna date an African girl. So
You're like,
That's like me. I never thought I'd date an African guy.
see, so like because like most African girls like guys that look at least physically more like Elliot, in terms of bulkier and like masculine, and they're wearing their sunglasses at night in the club, and they have the white jeans on.
Elliot
They
doesn't
have,
wear
like-
his sunglasses at night in the club. Don't say that about Elliot. He
No,
wears
I said
regular
physically.
glasses.
I said physically.
He wears
physically.
regular glasses,
No,
guys.
I know he wears regular glasses. I'm willing to bet he's not the type of guy to wear sunglasses at night. But you know what I'm talking about. You know the guys I'm talking about. They have like the crocodile shoes and all that. Like
Oh
that's
my
usually
gosh.
when, and they.
I don't club often, but I feel I could
You know-
see it.
you know it.
I
So,
could
like-
envision it.
that. Well, okay, that's usually the type of girls like they go for, from what I've seen. So like I never thought I'd date a girl.
Is that like that person you were talking about the other day?
Which the one that hit on me outside of the Freshco?
No. The one that parties real hard. The one that parties real hard.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely alligator shoes and white pants after Labor Day for sure.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So that was the type of guys that they would go for, and essentially the guys who played basketball in high school, right? So I
about
never
right.
thought I would get a girl that would be like, hey, I like you for who you are,
Listen,
nerd.
Nerd, I dig you.
Right?
Like, when you find those ones, you gotta hold on.
I am.
So what was going on with your dad? You mentioned it a little bit back there. How old are you? And you don't have to go into specific details if you don't want to. That's up to you. But what was going on with you emotionally when your dad was not well?
I think the best way for me to describe myself was like, yeah, I would say like my reality shattered. I think that's a good way of putting it, because I guess not in a bad way, but in the sense of going back on the whole toxic masculinity concept. Like for a young boy or a young man to not see your dad healthy is a bigger impact. I think it impacts you harder than like your daughter, because your dad is always strong. You know, not necessarily because he's always necessarily trying to be strong, because my dad was all about communication. He wasn't perfect, but like there were a lot of good things about vulnerability when it came to him, and then just to not see him be able to like walk, being able to know who he is or his surroundings. The first time I didn't know how to deal with it. Like my sister and my mom coped with it really well. I could not deal with it the first time.
Because you didn't know how to deal with the emotions behind
Because I
it.
didn't understand. I couldn't, like, I'm like, what do you mean you're not okay? You're always okay. If anything, like, when I had my back surgery, he was the one who helped me back up. So now I was like, to deal with the concept of the roles being reversed is just like, I don't understand how to process that. So what he has is called cerebral amyloid angiopathy. So essentially it's essentially the blood vessels in and around his brain are very brittle. And so sometimes they give way and they cause brain hemorrhages or strokes.
Really?
So he's had about I think 3 major strokes, and I would say like 8 minor strokes in the span of like 4 to 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's tough.
the second one and moving forward, I've been able to cope with it better because I knew what my dad neted from me. But the first time, I couldn't cope with it. And
It was new. It was
going with
fresh.
that, and even like the second one he had, that was around the time my girlfriend, the first one, the really attractive one, we broke up. So like all this stuff, like I just didn't know how to deal, and so that's when I just started going from trying to get with girl to girl to girl to girl. So like I said, so once we came here to Toronto, I remember I really had a good conversation with one of my boys, and he made me realize that I am a man, despite whatever like my family
Whatever
members
you've
may
heard,
say,
yeah.
and irrespective of like my income or my situation, like with what I've done for my family, like you are the man. So that helped me come to terms in terms of who I am. And then there was even to look at that over there, I ended up buying a dresser for myself. I know you're like, where's he going? What are we looking at?
Where is he going with this?
Yeah,
I wish everyone could have seen it. I was like, what's going on?
I bought a dresser for myself from Leon's. It was a good $600. I paid off like overseas, man. At this point, I'm working like minimum wage doo-doo butter jobs, like from like with home sense.
butter.
I'm trying not to swear, so yeah, doo-doo butter. Like home sense and yada yada yada. Home sense is cool. Don't get it. Home sense don't like cancel me.
Listen,
I got some
them
pieces.
stepping stones get you to where you want to be.
Bingo. So I ended up just paying that for myself, and that's something that I kind of validated with myself because a lot of my family felt like, Ebere's a weirdo. He reads comic books and he lives with his mom and plays anime games, even
Family expectations.
even though I don't play anime games, and even in terms of like communication, like my family thought like every time I was on my computer, I played video games, and I was just like, I don't like playing video games on computers. Surprise, I'm not playing video games.
So much you guys know.
Right? So these are sort of things that like I had to like when I bought that dresser, it really certified to me like even in terms of like my mom was telling me to buy like those like ugly plastic Walmart shelves that you can put things, and I was just like, no, I'm getting this Leon's dresser. I'm gonna pay it off. Even long story short, obviously I ended up paying it off, and because I was able to do that by myself, going back on what my ex said, validating my masculinity outside of women, I decided to start buying. You can see it on my Instagram. I started buying sculptures. So I buy like high grade resin polystone sculptures of like video game and anime characters. Which, by the way, just to kind of soften everybody a little bit, those things, unlike cars, appreciate in value. For instance, my Captain America one has a price range of, I bought him for about $170 Canadian. I've seen him on Amazon being sold for like $800 within 2 years. My other one, my favorite one, I bought him for $230 Canadian. He's worth $600 right now. And
See, I will be
version of him
looking at the Instagram.
is worth $1K. So people say, "Oh, like you're buying this stuff." I'm like, "Hey, so how much does your car appreciate in value?" Oh, it doesn't.
Does not.
Guess what these sculptures do? They're going to be used for like real estate investment. So hold that. Anyways, so I ended up buying sculptures and put them there. So whenever like family members will come in or whatever, oh, you'll have this stuff. I'm like, cool, but everything else I bought. So how am I a kid? How am I childish? Talk to me about that. Hold it to your chest.
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
So, eventually I spent like an extensive period of time, really connecting with my mom, rekindling, like actually building a relationship. And, it's unfortunate my dad isn't healthy, but if things didn't play out the way it did, we probably wouldn't be as close as we are today. We can just generally have conversations every once in a while. Not that often, but we can talk. There's actually a genuine connection. And from there, I'm with the girl I'm with now, which is way healthier than even like the girl I was with in Montreal, because I worked on that relationship. So, I guess you could say here I am today.
Okay, well, today you are a podcaster just like us.
Yes.
You have your podcast, Black Nerds Talk. So let's talk a little bit about that and how that's helped you on your mental health journey.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's another one to unpackage. I very much relate.
And please reference the movies that I watched so I can sound
No, I got
like I
you.
know what I'm talking
I got
about.
you. That's why I told you. That's why I told you to watch those ones specifically.
Good.
And even the ones that you haven't seen, you would more or less get it based off how they were referenced in those movies. So I make sure like you got the essential
Okay,
bits.
good.
You didn't read the whole book, but you got.
I got the Coles notes.
Exactly.
I got the Coles notes.
got
I wonder
about
if
that in the
there's still
university
Coles
days.
notes.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's still a thing.
Spark notes.
Spark
Yeah, that's
notes.
like-
Spark
Yeah,
notes.
Spark notes.
Oh my gosh. Every essay's savior
Yep.
when you never read a book.
Park notes.
Right.
I was a Coles notes girl.
So you Coles notes the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I did.
By the way, just so you know, MCU. You know MCU? That's what stands. That's MCU. Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm just letting you know in advance. You don't get
MCU. Okay,
MCU.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
Got it.
Before,
Got it.
like I say, you're just like, yes, the MCU. How is the MCU?
Yeah, you have to say what your abbreviations mean.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I had to update you on that. So, but yes, I very much relate to the characters of. I won't talk about Superman too much because I didn't tell you to watch Man of Steel. Don't worry, I got you. But
Thank
I very
you.
much connect with characters like Superman and Captain America because of like their, I guess you can say, straightforward nature and their honesty with others. But at the same time, they stick out from society. Superman, I know you know,
I know.
he's an alien, so he's never amongst
From
the people.
Krypton.
Exactly.
I know
Bingo.
stuff about Superman. I know stuff about Superman.
Bingo. So you know exactly. So and in the case of Captain America, like I said, you didn't watch the first one, but you don't need to because you already know. Captain
I did
America.
watch the first one.
Okay.
I've seen some of them. I've seen, like, I know that
She's
he was
better
on a
than me.
camp, and then
Yeah, but-
thank you. He was on a camp, and he was a little itty bitty guy, and then they did
Okay.
experiments on him, and
Okay,
he
we're
became.
about to have a real
Yeah,
conversation.
let's talk about
Okay.
this. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Prepared. I'm not prepared.
I'm prepared.
You
I have
watch
a
anime.
memory
Don't
like
act
a.
like you don't.
I have a memory like a steel trap. I remember all the Marvel movies I've watched.
Her memory's golden. Mine, mommy brain. So forgive me.
Okay, so Captain America's from the 40s, so he never really fits into society, right? So I've always connected with those characters on that aspect because I always feel like an outsider, no matter where I am. I never really feel like I kind of belong. Okay, I never really feel like I belong, and then because of that, I really connect with those characters because they're able to build connections with people and they're able to like be like leaders and so on and so forth in amongst their friends, amongst the communities, but at the same time they're always outsiders and I never really feel like I belong anywhere. So I'm always connected to those characters on that aspect. And then at the same time, as much as people feel that, because there's always like this misconception between like Superman and Captain America, like, you know, they're Boy Scouts, always follow the rules, but you saw in like Civil War and whatnot that they break the rules. If something's going against their moral compass, they're not
They're not going to sign it. They're not going to sign this.
The Sokovia Accord.
Sokovia
Yeah. I got
Accord.
you.
Yeah, Sokovia Accord.
Yeah.
They're not signing it. No.
Exactly. And so like in terms of like where Captain America is at the end of Civil War to the first to Infinity War, you know, where he has the beard. I'm very much in alignment with that, where I'm kind of figuring out how I want to do things for myself, in accordance to what feels right to me, and not just going along with like
The norm.
the norm and being told what to do. Because there's a lot of things I've experienced where like I've learned that just the same way in Captain America, you know, like you can do a lot of good for people, but it only takes really something. It only takes one occasion for everyone to kind of change their opinion on you. And so because I've gone through
Like for everyone to turn on you.
yeah.
It only
Yeah.
takes one instance to show you who your true like the true people that
Bingo.
hold you down.
Bingo.
It
Like
really
Nat.
does.
Natasha.
Oh,
Natasha. She held Cap down like
always.
to the end.
So yeah, for me, like I really resonate with Captain America in terms of like standing up and doing his own and becoming at that point in Infinity War, he takes up the title. They don't say it in the movie, but he becomes a character nomad. You know the word nomadic.
Yeah,
To constantly
nomadic, yeah.
So he's a man without a country. He's a nomad.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a thing from the comics. You know, like if you even look on his outfit, he took off the star. If you look at the details, he took off the star on his outfit. He took off the shield, like he took off the helmet. He's not Captain America. He's wearing a uniform. He's still
But
the
he's
same
not.
person.
It's not the same thing.
Exactly. He's still the same person, which is I've always that is even more why I resonate with those characters. They're always them, and a lot of people always say I'm a very constant person. I'm always who I am. I'm always in tune with myself. And the same thing with Captain America. He's wearing a uniform. He's wearing the Captain America uniform, but he's not Captain America anymore at that point.
Yeah,
He
he's
doesn't have a
transformed.
shield.
He's changed.
Exactly, but he's still him. He's still protecting people, but he's doing it on his own terms. So that's
He's
kind of-
evolved,
exactly.
basically.
So that's kind of the direction where like I'm in right now in terms of this creating something for myself. Hence why I started Black Nerds Talk, because I realized that like I need to create something for me that no one can take away from.
Yeah.
So when we had our original meet cute, I just felt like saying the word meet cute.
Oh my gosh, she's all about those.
Did you trademark that one?
No,
No.
it's a movie.
It's a comedic term.
It's a movie
Rom-com term.
It's a rom-com term.
She loves those
where
things,
Two people
so.
meet, like you need a pair of pajamas, and I get the shirt, and then you get the pants, and then we meet, and we're like, hey, like we've just gotten
I'm using the term meet cute.
meet cute. It's a movie term. I love it. But when we originally talked, you had mentioned things like honor and victory, and how comic books and Marvel and anime could teach people like in the nerd world, because this is so far outside of my realm. Like I did watch the movies, and I do watch the movies, but not as a form of entertainment for myself, as opposed to connecting all the dots in each, because I want to watch them from start to finish, like in order. And I know you're going to help me with that, Eb. I know you will.
100%.
But like I'll watch the like random, like all the Iron Man ones. And I'm not big into Spider-Man, so I don't really like. I like when it was Andrew Garfield or whatever was the Spider-Man. He was cute, so like that made it interesting. You know, I liked Emma Stone, but you know I don't like the new Spider-Man. But I like him now because I saw him in Avengers. So like maybe I'll watch Spider-Man. Like it's just one of those random like pick and choose things for me with action movies and movies about Marvel, or even things like comic books. Like when I was a kid, the most I read for comic books was Archie comics. And Betty and
talk
Veronica.
about it. Talk about
Betty
it.
and Veronica.
Riverdale.
I'm still big into Riverdale on Netflix right now. So I haven't seen
I read
the
a
new
couple of
season.
mangas.
But-
I used to like reading them, like back to like, you know, because it's not like a regular book. You gotta
Yeah,
You would probably like those because you used to like to read back to front.
back to front. Yeah, I used to read back to front. But you know, like when you talk about it, you're so passionate, and you're so like you're so deeply into it that it's a world on its own that's teaching you lessons that this world, you know, might not necessarily be able to teach you as well. So I want to talk about some of those like life lessons that you've learned from. We'll use Marvel specifically because those are the ones I've researched. I've never watched an anime I've never seen Dragon Ball Z in my life. Like I'm not
I
gonna lie
wasn't
to you.
actually going to reference Dragon Ball Z. I was actually going to reference another anime, but I would keep it in a watered down version where it's simple. But and the most recent life lesson that I've learned was watching this anime called GTO, Great Teacher Onizuka. Shout out to my retro anime lovers. This is like the late 90s, early 2000s type anime where it's still standard definition. It's not widescreen like those days.
Okay.
And he's basically like a guy who is trying to impact life lessons onto his students. And I always kind of heard about the show, but because like I'm very much against, I'll use the term and I'll explain to you because you'll understand what it is. Slice of life anime, which is essentially like soap opera anime. Like unless if there's no swords and explosions, I'm not watching it. The reason I'm watching anime is to escape.
For the action.
If there's no action, I'm not watching the show unless the occasional sports anime. But otherwise, I'm like, even sports anime, boxing, someone's getting knocked in the face. I can watch that. But if there's no swords, there's no action, there's no kamehameha. Nah, fam.
Kamehameha.
There's
What
no Super
in the
Saiyan.
world is
There's no
If someone is not yelling and
Someone's not getting
screaming and
crunched.
powering up and saying they've achieved some sort of new power or some rubbish just
I
like
think
that.
I'm gonna incorporate that into my everyday language. Kamehameha.
Yeah, exactly. You just let
I'm
them know.
just gonna go to people's faces and say Kamehameha.
You might,
Dragon
you
Ball
actually
Z.
you don't want to do it because you're gonna get dragged into a conversation you were ready for. So someone's gonna be like, "Oh,
Really?
they'll be like, they're gonna be like,
Kamehameha.
Start doing some hand
exactly. They're gonna be like, they're gonna be like, so you've achieved Super Saiyan, and you're gonna be like, yes, yeah. Is that a yes or no question? I don't know. So I don't think you want to set yourself up for that one.
have to tell my work colleague tomorrow about this conversation. I'm gonna walk into her office and just go Kamehameha.
She might know
She's
what you're
like,
talking
what
about.
are you talking about right now? Like, anime. Get into it.
Right? Yeah, so like watching so I'm just gonna abbreviate. I don't really want to say Great Teacher Onizuka every time.
Oh no, go ahead.
GTO.
Abbreviate.
And even that's how the show is labeled, GTO.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I might have seen the
Show's fire. It's actually in my top 5 now. I had a top 5 and it kicked out one of the shows. I'm still determining which show it kicked out, but it's in, like, it was that good because of how much like my top 5 are very, very good shows, but on top of that they've had an impact on me in terms of how I see myself and how I see the world. And so watching that show, because of the experiences I went through, working with youth and stuff, I kind of just stopped. I just stopped, period, doing community development because I was just like, it's not worth it at this point. I need to just solely focus on being an entrepreneur and, like let go of this whole community development thing because of what I experienced. I don't mind like still, occasionally talking with the kids on, Instagram or whatever, but I just stopped. But watching Great Teacher Onizuka and seeing how no matter what obstacles he faced in terms of, because even though he's a teacher, he had a very unorthodox way of doing things like me, like how people like, so you're just going to sit with the kids and ask them how they're doing. You're not even going to try and run a program or something. Like, no, I'm just going to have a conversation with them. So,
find out how they're feeling and just not even ask them anything else.
So, because of that, he always experienced like hurdles in terms of even not just like some of the kids who have problems, emotional problems that they've gone through, or even like fellow teachers who try to sabotage him because of the type of teacher they was, the type of attention he got. So that's something that very much resonated with me, and seeing him continue to persevere and still connect with the kids and still without compromising himself, because even though because it's exaggerated, right? It's anime, so there's not even a point where like one girl got captured.
It's almost like a fable.
Exactly,
it's like a fable. That's what I was
mythology. Like it's all the same ish, right?
Yeah.
And he was trying to like he refused to help the girl because someone was like attacking her. He's like, I'm not gonna help you because you didn't say sorry, because she tried to get him like get him fired. Like she did like all this extra stuff to get him fired.
Gosh.
And so he was just like, I'll help you, but like you need to apologize because you said I'm a trash teacher and you don't need me. Like you asked me to save you. I'm like, man, I stopped teaching at 5 p.m. So like he literally said that. He's like, you're asking me to help you. I stopped working as a 5 p.m. What I do after, that's of my choice. So I don't have to help you. Also, you say you didn't need me as a teacher. And so those are sort of things I really connected to in terms of teaching like hard life lessons to some of the kids. And even in terms of just, like I said, just persevering. I'm like, I can't let go of the aspect of me in terms of community development and not just be an entrepreneur. I need to be both. And, who says I can't be both, right?
Yeah, you can be everything and anything you can imagine or dream.
Exactly. So, like, I thought, like, community development would hold me back into what I want to do. But I'm like, I can combine the two. I can get a job and still, combine, which is what I'm moving into, going back on Captain America. Sorry for being like, I'm very fluid, so I'm just going to go back and forth with things.
Do your thing, Eb. Like, I'm enjoying this. Like,
awesome. Okay.
I'm just sitting back and just listening and actively listening and not
like
cross talking. Not like that girl. Not cross talking or having side conversations.
Let it go.
It's a month later, and I'm sure I'm still just as salty as I was last month.
Yeah,
anyways.
you started saying you weren't.
I said I lied.
At least you're not Montreal road salty.
I'm not Montreal road salty. Thank you. I'm only Toronto road salty.
That's not too bad.
Not Saskatchewan road salty. Like, oh gosh, that's salty.
That's wind. That's wind. That's strong wind.
Bear wind.
I feel like you went online and looked up all these salty roads after I made this comment.
And just quantify them. Just like today, I feel like when like when you have to check it in at work, everyone's like, so what level of Canadian salty road do you feel? You're like, today I feel
Manitoba road salty.
Right?
Yeah.
But yesterday I felt Montreal.
I'm gonna trademark my Toronto road salt phrase because you can't be misconstruing my thing.
Oh, and back to you, sir.
So yeah, I really connect in terms of because Captain America also, he's still helping people. He's just doing it on his own terms. He's not following the Sokovia Accords from Captain America Civil War, right? He's still doing things on his own terms. So just really me figuring out what those terms are, because I'm moving back into in terms of community development, and I'm going forward with in terms of full-time jobs, but it has to be on my own terms. It has to stop being under everyone else's terms, because then I'm the one
do it the way you want it done.
Bingo, and then who's losing out at the end of the day? Yeah, like
The kids.
The kids, yes, and then also me, because this
Yeah.
is me losing, that connection or
Yes.
whatever, or the work I've done. So I need to start doing things. I need to start doing things on my own terms. So that's essentially the life lesson I took away from the show. I literally just finished the anime 2 days ago. I did not want to watch last episode. You know when you're like watching a show and you're at the end.
You don't even.
And what hurt
Jane
me
the
more,
Virgin.
I thought it was
not
a
done.
45. I thought it was a 45 episode show, and I found out it was 43 at the end. I was like, oh, there's 2 less episodes.
Those are the worst.
It hurt me. But
I don't know. I feel like after I watched Endgame, because we talked about how highly emotional I was, I felt like I was grieving the loss of a friend. Like it felt like I was.
Yep.
I felt like I was grieving.
You know what? When you say that, like, I didn't even think of Tony as a friend. I just thought he was a huge asshole. But he was the best kind of asshole, like kept it real, like he was genuine, and
fun
it just
fact, that's the reason why. Stan Lee made Iron Man on a dare, right?
he made it on what?
He created the comic book character Iron Man on a dare. Someone's like, I bet you couldn't make an asshole of a superhero. He's like, I'm gonna make him a billionaire, and I'm gonna get people like him.
Oh,
He did it on the
we
dare.
loved him. Forget about
We
life.
loved
We
Tony.
loved
Yeah,
Tony.
he did it on a dare.
Like I felt like you feel lost. Like you feel genuine loss over these characters that have somehow managed to touch your life. I haven't felt that way in a movie in since ever. Like
I lied. Hardball. Is it Hardball?
you mean Moneyball?
No. Hardball. When they're playing
Meatballs?
baseball. No. Hardball.
Sandlot?
Hardball. When they sing, "I love it when you call me Big Papa." You don't remember that?
No,
I
don't
used to rent that from Blockbusters. Shout out to Blockbusters, which they're still open.
They're like open somewhere up
they
north.
need
They
to
have like a
evolve.
store up
See?
north. I can't remember where. Like Alaska or Nunavut or something. I can't remember. You know what I'm
Probably,
talking about, right? Yeah.
probably.
So it's like there's
One
last
blockbuster, one last one holding on.
Keeping in mind, like it's there because there's no internet. But
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, but
And I feel like I learned for me personally, with victory comes loss. When
whatever it takes.
whatever
Yeah.
it takes, whatever's
By any
necessary
means.
by any means necessary. But with that victory and that achievement and that accomplishment comes the sense of loss. Like you lose friendships, you lose family members, you lose your sense of self for some of the characters
Yeah.
in the movie. It felt, I don't know, it felt like I was going through it with them.
Well, I mean,
you took the journey with them. I was
that's
just
what
going
I
to
was
say,
about to
yeah.
It's not a standalone movie, right? It's over the course of like various characters cross-pollinating in various movies in various ways, and you're seeing how they develop and so on and so forth. Like Black Panther has an arc. Like Black Panther's not even introduced in his own movies. He's introduced in Captain America, and he has his own arc in Captain America. Then he starts his own movie and has another arc. And then by that point, when you see him in an Infinity War, right, you're like, it makes sense that he's welcoming to
That
Captain
he's-
America.
yeah.
And
Maybe you'd be able to tell me, is Black Widow getting her own movie? I heard this.
you didn't know that? Yeah.
I heard it, and I thought
Wait, isn't Natasha Black Widow?
Yes.
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 But-
Yes. I know you want
yes.
to say yes.
Yes.
It's in the past, so it takes place right after Captain America: Civil War. So it takes place in 2016,
When
and not
everything
2023.
happened to her initially. Yeah.
Oh,
Like when she went on the run, how and what led to her to join Captain America. When you see him in the beginning of Infinity War. Remember where you saw
How she
the
turned into the Black Widow.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, yes, it covers how she turns into Black
okay.
Widow,
I was
but
about to
also
say, I'm like, that's all I want to
it's
hear.
just like
That's what
it
I'm
transitions. It goes from like
like her Russian
why she
roots.
has, like yes, and also like like the last time you see her in Civil War, she has red hair, and then when you see her in Infinity War,
She has blonde and red. It's blonde and red. It's blonde, and then it was blonde and red in Endgame.
In Endgame.
Oh, okay. I can't remember.
But she said, "F it." I'm like, she's like, I don't really care about my hair anymore. It's just the world's like half.
The
of
world's coming to an end. I'm not going to get my tips done.
Yeah, she's like, forget
I'm
it.
not going to the salon.
Oh my god.
It's
I'm
over.
over it.
I'm over it. It's been 5 years.
Self-care.
People disappeared, and I just, you know
No.
what? I'm not going to the salon.
That's actually an interesting thing when it comes to Endgame in terms of just self care and just like how everyone coped differently. But we
Yeah.
can look into that after.
No, let's talk about it
Okay,
right now.
let's do it. Like I mean, like a lot.
We're
of
all
people
about
have-
talking about the mental health aspects of these.
Well, Thor.
Thor. Oh my gosh. Thor let himself go. The belly on Thor. I was like, what is going on with Thor?
He was supposed to be a god.
He was supposed to be a god.
Let himself go. Listen, if a god
The
can let himself
drinking.
go,
Yeah, like, it's just, but the substance abuse, too. Like,
Exactly,
you're looking at it like...
But like, think about like if you went through what he did, where literally the only reason you were the reason. I mean, there was everyone obviously played a role. Like, I mean, there's Captain
But
America
you were
and
the
Iron Man.
last hope.
Exactly.
And you
The last
effed
Blew
it up.
it.
You flubbed it. You
Yeah.
flubbed it. You should have cut his head off. Like, instead you went for the heart. Why? Nobody knows. Everybody knows. If it's a vampire, if it's a
Listen.
zombie, like, you go for the head. Like, go for the head. And Thor did not do that. And he, you know, it took his mom talking to him and like getting him sort of back on track. He needs to do a push-up or two or something. I don't know what's going on there. And he needs to get a haircut. Like, oh, he looks
Okay,
like...
whoa, the hair. No, I'm a fan of.
Are you a fan?
'Cause
I'm
he's
a
always
fan
had-
of the short haircut.
Naturally, but like for me, because
As
you
a
have to keep in
woman,
mind, you also have to keep
the
in mind
aesthetics.
You have to keep in mind I'm a comic book guy, right? So Thor's always had long hair.
It's true.
and
It's
then
true.
on top of that, like for me, it's
I
like
was shocked when they cut it off in what movie was it?
Ragnarok.
Okay, I saw Ragnarok.
Yeah, and I was just like, I wasn't too surprised. You know, they
That was the
wanted
movie
constantly-
he fought with Hulk, right?
Yes, which was like the perfect advertisement. Like, we're not really gonna tell you what the movie's about, but like, yo, you're trying to catch this Hulk versus Thor fight though.
yeah,
That was literally
for
the ad
sure.
picture. It was literally them jumping at each other. I'm like, that's a smart ad. I would do that too.
Media, I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, technically, that's what he did with Civil War. Like, you want to see Captain America and Iron Man catch these hands, though?
Like,
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I want to see that
I
stuff.
want to see that
Weren't they just on
fight.
the same team last
Who
movie?
won that fight?
Cap? Why are you talking about Thor and Hulk? Which one are you talking about?
Thor won the Hulk fight,
Yeah, he did.
but Cap won the
Yep.
Iron Man
Yep.
fight. Okay,
Yep.
I'm
He
trying to
busted
remember.
his arc
I
reactor.
thought it was like.
He busted his arc reactor.
I thought
and
it was
mashed him up and-
like what's that thing called?
a draw.
A draw. I thought
No.
it was a draw.
No, it was Tony.
It was a clear cut.
Tony took an L.
He took an L.
Hulk took an L. Hulk was losing. Thor's eyes were all lit up in lightning, and then that's when he got stunned. Like Thor was gonna take a nice little.
I was surprisingly sad at Loki's death.
Who wasn't?
Like, I was surprised. The jokester, I was surprisingly sad at Loki's death.
Really?
Like, I was surprised. Like, because that was the first major. Like, because I watched like the 4, so that was the first for me. I think of the 4 major deaths, and Loki always comes back. Like, he always manages to somehow.
Yeah, that's why I don't
That's
think
why.
I
That's
come
why.
back,
That's
right?
why Thanos was just like, no comebacks this time, though.
Yeah,
He
like,
said, "You're not coming back this time. You're gone. You're gone.
But
you're
but didn't
gone,
he?
gone, boy,
He's
gone.
dead."
Really?
Yeah, he's dead.
I thought
Loki's
he
dead.
Because because all right, so because we're going into depth with the movie, I remember the scene where they traveled back and
Oh,
then
yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
yeah, and then so
no.
I assumed that
he's somewhere on the alternate universe, but the main timeline of
Loki is gone. Okay,
And I was touched by the fact, like, Marvel taught me a lot this week, man. Like,
See
it
why I
taught
love this
me
stuff?
about building relationships and building back broken relationships between Loki and Thor. Like, he wasn't gonna let Thor die. That was his brother. You know what I mean? It just goes to show you, no matter
and they
how
weren't
much
even blood.
they weren't even blood. Yeah, like, remember when we fought for like 2 years, B?
Yeah.
Like, it was my fault. Like, we'll be honest. It was
Yeah.
completely my fault. It was my
Thank
big
you.
fat mouth got in the way of myself. And I didn't talk to my sister for 2 years. And it was like,
Rewind.
my
Pull the
sister
top
didn't
selector.
talk to me
Thank
for
you.
2 years.
Thank you. Let's not make
My
this about
sister
you.
didn't talk to me for
Thank
2
you.
years. And I felt like my world was completely falling apart. All I wanted her to do was forgive me. You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm stubborn.
to get that
so-
forgiveness piece. And her point was like, no, you can't be forgiven when you want to be forgiven.
Mhm.
It has to be
It's
in
her
her
favorite
time.
thing. It's
Like,
her
I
favorite
just
thing.
expect it. You know, I expect forgiveness. Like, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness.
Yeah, that's her
basically.
favorite quote.
That's one of my favorite quotes in life. Like, it's from Drake. It's not from Drake. It's from somebody else, but Drake said it.
He coined it. He made it popular.
He made it popular, yeah. And I just, like, I've learned so much, I feel like, from these Marvel movies when it comes to things like honor and glory and, like, defeat and failure and picking yourself back up and trying again. And, they had the opportunity to travel back in time. And,
Yep.
Tony was like, I can't do this. I can't. I have too much to lose. Like, I I can't build a time machine for you. Like, this is real. Like, I've got shit going on.
That's actually one of the scenes I connected with the most. Like I say, Iron Man's. By the way, I'm gonna disclaimer: Iron Man was one of my favorite superheroes before Iron Man 1. I was one of the fans who knew Iron Man was. I didn't think it was a robot back in 2005. I'm letting people know because people, of course you're an Iron Man fan. I was an Iron Man fan. I knew about the Iron Man movie.
Die-hard fan.
I'll let you know how much of an Iron Man fan I was. Just a side note. I was, because like this is back in when we were in high school and stuff. We'd have like computer classes. You remember those days? So I have like during my computer class, whenever we're done our work, I would go on Wikipedia because that's when Wikipedia started becoming a thing, and I would check the production. We didn't know it
was false. We didn't know most of the information.
It was real in this case because I was actually keeping track of the production of Iron Man 1 since 2005. When the trailer, remember, like you guys probably don't know, there was a trailer where he just flew by in the screen.
Yes, I remember.
I saw that. I knew when I was dropping. Like I've been a fan.
Oh my god!
When video games would come out, everyone would pick Spider-Man. I'm like, give me Tony Stark.
give me Tony.
Give me that Tony Stark. Give me that red and gold. So like I was a fan.
That?
So like when he was when he solved, and this is like goes into like it's up on the podcast that's not entirely finished yet, but he was talking with Pepper about figuring out the quantum realm issue. I was actually surprised that he spoke to her about it, because for me, I've kind of lived, I guess it goes into the whole kind of toxic masculinity a little bit, in the sense of I didn't feel I would want to talk about that with my partner. I was surprised that he was willing to be open about, helping people to his partner, because that's one of the things that they kind of, you remember in Civil War, like they went on a break because of him constantly being a superhero, and it's constantly stressful for her. So for me, I would feel like there would be certain things I would want to open up to my partner about, in terms of the things I would do in terms of giving to others, because when you give to others, it means that
you're not giving to your partner
and your potential family, whatever it may be. And to see Tony Stark actually go to Pepper and open up about it made me really reflect in terms of how open I am to my partner. There's actually a really good point in terms of my best friend. She pointed out in the sense of, because of something in terms of her breakup, she made me really realize something as a man, in the sense of like, we always want to be strong. We always want to tell you guys like everything is good in the relationship, but you want to like, you don't want to tell your partner, you want to tell your girl certain things that would make her like possibly unhappy. But then if, let's say, you don't tell her, I was on the phone with my ex last night because she was going through something, and you don't want to tell that to her because you don't want to upset her.
You have to.
In a sense, yes, but in the sense of, so to really expand on it, in the sense of, if you are keeping that from her, how strong is your relationship? So that's something I never really quite thought of, because like in my relationship in Montreal, like, because like I said, I have a lot of female friends. One of my female friends is actually the first girl I ever fell in love with. We ended up like kind of reconciling, because like I came to a point, this is another side note, like when things didn't work out with us, is like, she didn't know I was in love with her. She knew I liked her, but she didn't know I was in love with her. So how am I supposed to hold her? Sorry?
Andrew.
That's her. That's her.
It's my high school crush.
Okay, yeah.
I had to whisper it.
See, so like, she didn't know I was in love with her. I couldn't, hold that against her. So, we became good friends. But like, my girl in Montreal, when we were together, so disclaimer also, my female friends are all extremely attractive. So girls be like, oh, you have a female friend. Oh, they're attractive.
Oh.
So like, she was
the next question is, did you?
Nope.
Yeah.
So, she was always insecure for her. So whenever me and that girl would hang out, I didn't tell her, because I didn't want her to feel insecure. But at the same time, it's like, if you don't think she can handle that, then that's
what's the relationship really about?
I always say that about some females. Like, if you can't handle it, nobody's forcing you to stay in the situation. Like if you want men to be honest with you, and like to have a real conversation and a real communication with you, like, you have to be able to handle certain things. And if you aren't able to handle certain things, then it's like, exclude yourself from the equation. Like, it causes a lot less like mental heartache Like, like heartache is one thing, but mental heartache, being up all night, insomnia, thinking about certain things, what you could have done differently, what you could have said differently, things
what
like
are they
that.
doing right now?
What are they doing? Like all those things, like it takes a toll. Like it takes a toll.
So like,
just side note.
Yeah, so that's something that I really took away from Iron Man in terms of interaction with Pepper, in terms of talking about, hey, I solved the quantum realm thing, that thing that like could potentially put me and our family in jeopardy, mostly me. I'm going to talk to you about it. And that took me back. I thought he was going to keep that to himself, but he ended up opening up about it. And so that really made me reflect. And even I talked to my girl about it in terms of how that impacted me, in terms of how in terms of this relationship, I'm far more open than my previous relationships. My previous relationships, I guess, Nick and I have spoken about, I can kind of finesse. So I'm very good at talking. Not to say I like use people, but in the sense of like, I know how to.
Honesty is the best policy. I appreciate how he's like, I could finesse the thing,
Good finesse.
Right? So I know how to like word things to get myself out of trouble. But in this relationship I'm in now, because of what I've seen in that, I was like, and also what I decided to take in terms of my relationship is like, I'm going to be a lot more honest. And also the conversation.
A lot less hassle.
Okay.
Depending on who you're dealing with,
Yes.
it's a lot less hassle.
It's a lot less mental duress for me.
Exactly.
I'll say that. But that's something that I saw him doing. That's something I've decided to like take that approach on in terms of the stuff I've done with youth and community development, in terms of like, I'm going to do this because that's what feels right to me, and I can't ignore who I am, and that's the thing that, and that's something I was surprised by Pepper's response, because I was expecting her to be angry at him for like solving, but she's like, you being Iron Man is one of the things that couldn't stop you from doing that. This is who you are. And that's something that really resonated with me in terms of his story arc.
I mean, literally, it was built into him.
Yeah.
So I see what you did there.
Sorry.
I was just gonna go straight into Cap.
Okay, go into Cap.
Yes, because is that where you're gonna go?
That's where I was gonna go.
Exactly. For Cap, he's someone that's built his identity based off helping people. I'm the same. I'm always helping my friends. I'm helping my family. I'm always helping people. I'm helping youth. I'm helping fellow coworkers. I'm always involved with helping people. And, I spent an extended period of time, like, being single. And so I kind of use that as, like, a crutch for my happiness. And so for me, when it came to overhearing that Captain America is not going to be Captain America anymore, I didn't know how to process that. I'm just like, oh my God.
I'm still processing it.
Right?
I'm still processing it. I don't understand
how am I
it
supposed to
all.
exist? Like, I still have the comic books to still
Chris
read.
Evans, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like,
he's one of the people I have to meet one day. I have to thank him for what he did for my life. Like, I'm not even joking. But anyways, he it was very worrisome. But honestly, so the thing is, when I was watching, when Thanos beat the ish out of him. And then like he's lying on the floor, and like you saw like the
and
Black
then his
Order
like
calm
shield
down.
is all messed up.
Exactly. The Black Order came in, and all the armies came down. He's like, I'm about to F Earth up.
Like, I'm
letting you know right now. You saw how Captain America got back up,
and he stood up to him even with the army, like David and Goliath.
Right?
That was for you, Mom. Like David and Goliath.
Right.
And all the Doctor Strange opened up all the portholes, and aliens came out, and then the people came. Wakanda came out, the Asgardians came out. Everybody came to the show, man. Everybody showed up for them.
Right.
I was seeing characters like, oh, I know that character. I know that character. I know that character. I know that character. Oh, that's who. That's this. I was going crazy. I was like, this is wild. Like, they're all here. It was like a reunion show. Like, it was like a reunion moment.
Technically Avengers Assemble, so yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it was a reunion. Yeah. It was like Love and Hip Hop reunion, like, but with Marvel comic people.
For nerds.
I was about to say with less fighting, but then I was like, well, no.
That was all it was. That was all it was. If anything, it was more fighting.
It was more fighting. But one last thing. Are we good with Captain America?
Oh, no, I was just really going to expand
on it.
Seeing him do that, save the world, one last time against Thanos and whatnot, and then seeing him want to go back in time, this hit me and then I reflect on later in the sense of like he deserves to be happy. After everything he did, he deserves to be happy.
He deserves to be with Peggy, man.
Exactly.
You
and
know
then
he deserves to be with Peggy.
So when I saw Endgame, that's when me and my girl were still talking. So when I said that to myself, I'm like, he deserves to be happy. And because I connect with Cap, like I was talking with her, but like the thing is, I haven't been in a relationship a long time. And so I felt that if I was going to be in a relationship, I won't be able to give to people. I won't be able to be there for others. I won't be able to be a superhero, quote unquote. I did air quotes for those that obviously are listening because you can't see me. So to hear myself say that, it made me ask myself, I'm like, well, if he deserves to be happy with all the things that he's done for people, don't you? And then I was just like, I guess. I mean, if he deserves to be happy, then I deserve to be happy too.
For sure.
And if that's the case, then like, yeah, why don't you be in a relationship? Like, why don't you actually have someone for you? You don't have to like penalize yourself and feel like, you always have to give to others. Like maybe it's okay that someone wants to give to you and that you just want to give to.
You always have to one up yourself.
Exactly. Because that's the thing I've been doing. I kind of made like my happiness based off others' happiness, and so now it's like, hey, you don't.
That's validation.
Yeah.
I think everybody in relationships though like look for validation in life in general. But I mean,
I've always gotten that, and the thing is, like, I've always been happy with that. But at the same time, it's like, hey, why don't you like not do that as much and like
validate yourself
exactly and like do something for you essentially, and then just that's something that really like took me some time to process, and it took me really reflecting and like maybe I do deserve that for myself as opposed to feeling like I need to constantly be there for others. There's a really good quote in the second Avengers movie where Ultron, the villain of the movie, said, "Captain America, God's righteous man, pretending you can live in a world without war." And that kind of hit me. It's like, can you live in a world, Ebere, can you live in a world without people needing your help? And that's something that I've been reflecting on since 2015 when that movie came out. And so to see where he is at the end of Endgame, that's really like, okay, you know what, do something for you for once and not just for everyone else. So
Okay. What would you say the greatest lesson you have learned? I'm going to go with Marvel because that's what I know. So from the Marvel series, now that it's sort of come to a close. This chapter is closed, but the saga I don't think is ended yet.
it shall continue.
Shall continue. So what have you learned so far?
woo! I would say well, definitely from Endgame, I learned to do something for me. That would be definitely one. And also just in terms of just Captain America as a whole, just being true to who I am. Staying true to who I am and having faith in who I am and knowing what I feel and know is right to be right. And to, speak my truth, to stick by what I stand by. There's that quote that they kind of reference in the movie that's in the comic books, no matter what the media, no matter what the press says, in the terms of the states, this country's founded on truth, and that, there are certain times where you have to plant your feet beside the river of truth and tell the media, tell the press, tell the world, no, you move. And that's something that stuck with me in terms of him saying that. And so that's something I've very much connected with, and also just being in tune with who I am. And then even in terms of the anime that I watch, like just because of the things I experienced, don't let go of that aspect. Like don't lose yourself. So definitely that.
Okay. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. This is one of those instances where I feel like I read the last page of a book first, and I got to go back to the front of the book and read it all over again and kind of get my mind blown.
I feel like you jumped the gun, eh?
I feel like I jumped the gun a little bit, but
I watched this
like
for purely entertainment. These things.
Now I'm gonna watch it for the juice, the content, the juice.
I have to bring up. You say the juice, like what are they? Someone said one time that it's not about the juice. It's about the sauce. It's about the sauce.
Sounds like
juice.
Gucci
No, they're like the
like
juice. The juice. When you have juice in your fridge, you drink the juice. It's done. You got to go buy back some juice. But the sauce, the sauce will stay in your fridge for a long time.
It's Gucci Mane, isn't it? It is Gucci. It sounds like Gucci. Yeah. Don't get lost. Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't get lost in the sauce. Some people get lost in the sauce.
You don't.
I'm
you,
about
you,
to
you
get
can't
lost in the Marvel sauce.
Yes.
That's what I'm about to get
forget
lost
about the
in.
juice. Get lost in the sauce.
But thanks so much for coming on the show once again. It has been a pleasure as always. I would love to have you on again to talk about anything. It doesn't even matter what it is. I just enjoy having you on the show.
Your male perspective.
Your male perspective. We
Through
always
different eyes was
through
great.
different lenses.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Bianca, sign us off, please, and let's get her done. Let's get her
We
done.
can get her done today. Okay. So if you guys want. Oh,
Sorry. Oh,
I came in spicy.
You came in spicy. Eb, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to
Yes.
before we sign off?
Oh wow! Oh, I wouldn't expect that. My girl. I've learned a lot, and I think we're both learning a lot with each other. It's looking like a forever thing.
Well, you heard it first on the Day to Dish podcast.
Get it?
One day we'll be like a little bit more public. Right now.
This is pretty public. People listen in
no
Singapore,
one
so
knows-
like
No one knows who she is. Though.
Listen, no face, no case. No
Actually,
name.
I saw that on one of my youth's Instagram, and I was just like, I don't know how to process that.
No face, no case. Can't tell who. You don't know who it is.
You can't
the
see
glove
me.
don't fit. She wants to quit.
You brought it back. You brought it back to.
I'm bringing it back to the
Say
90s,
that one,
guys.
that one again?
If the glove don't fit, you must have quit. O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah, okay. I heard something else. Okay, yep.
Johnny Cochran. R.I.P. R.I.P. Anyone
yeah.
else you want to give a shout out to?
My girl, like I said, all the homies who've been supportive of me in terms of Black Nurse Talk, followers on Black Nurse Talk, and everyone who's just been supportive of me and my dream.
And
all the
shops.
amazing creators of anime and comic books. You know who you are. One day I'll interview you, so be ready for that.
sure. Be ready.
I was gonna say, just say your Instagram handle again, so everyone knows.
You know, I'm on everything: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Handle Black Nerds Talk. No Ebonics, no Z, nothing like that. All the A's and the L's are not numbers. All lower, all normal case, all of that. Black
Queen's
Nerds
English.
And we're gonna put it in the description as well for you, so you have access to
Talk.
it.
Nerd therapy.
Nerd. We're playing. You're playing with both.
Huh? What do you...
Are you playing? Is it nerd? Is it Black
No.
Nerd Talk?
That's what we're talking about. It's nerd therapy. It's therapy for us.
Therapy for you,
We've
okay.
all taken lessons away from anime and video games, so let's talk about it more.
All right, can I do my thing?
You could do your thing, girl. Get it.
All right. So if you want to reach Onika or myself, you can reach us at Dysh, that's DYSH, at daintydish.com. That's DAINTYDYSH.com. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts,
Give us 5. You deserve a 5.
and if you're listening to us on any other platform, thank you. And if you want to hit us up on our social media, Onika's is Best of Onika, and mine is That Mother Bad XO. That is THATMUVABADXO.
All right.
I did good.
You did it. I give you an
did
applause,
it.
but it doesn't sound good with the audio, so I'm
It's
applauding
okay.
you in
I'll
my
take
head.
it. I'll take it.
Finger snapping?
Finger snap. Snap.
Oh, poetry reading.
Poetry.
I wish I read it more poetically.
All right, Eb, once again, thank you so much for being on the show. All kinds of crazy Wednesday. Hope you guys enjoyed as per usual. Always interesting characters coming in every second Wednesday of the month. So that has been the dish of the day, and I hope you'll have yourselves a very, very, very happy holiday.